Has anybody been watching the Hockey Canada scandal? Now, I wish that they would post video from the actual trial. I would love to actually see what's going on because you can only gain so much from the transcripts of what's going on. But this lady, whoever she is, because she won't reveal her identity, is getting absolutely cooked. At first, she's blaming Carter Hart for something, and then now all of a sudden Carter Hart is Sam Steele, and now she's mixing them up, and this girl is cooked. This is fake. It's just going to be like the Trevor Bauer situation. It's unfortunate that these guys, the process is the punishment, and even when they're exonerated and they're found innocent, and all the people that have just absolutely buried them and dragged their name through the mud in the media the last 2 years they should be eating their words and having some humble pie, but they won't. But we've been here since day one saying this seems a little bit fishy. Something happened. She had a boyfriend. She made some bad decisions. She got a nice little settlement. She spent all the money. She came back, and nothing seems to make sense in the story. But I did have a very interesting story about Carter Hart. Again, I heard from...
Okay, hang on. Let me tell you this real quick before you get into the Carter Hart stuff. I can speak on this from a very personal point of view. And based on what we're seeing right now, it looks like all of these gentlemen will be cleared of all charges. Okay? Regardless of that, there is a kryptonite necklace that they are going to have to wear for the rest of their life. Not in all circles, but in certain circles, when they introduce themselves to new people, they'll put out their hand, they'll shake, and they'll go, "Hi, I'm blank." And they'll go, "Oh, I remember you. Weren't you part of that whole situation?" And they'll say yes. And they will have to explain themselves. And some people will say, "I don't care what the court said. I still think you're guilty." There are some people that will write them off and never speak to them ever again in their inner circles. And we used to, as a society, live by the rule of everyone gets due process, everyone gets their day in court. But unfortunately, they will have to suffer the consequences of these decisions, regardless if they were right or wrong, for the rest of their lives. And I feel for you. I get it. And it will...
The exact same thing happened to you a couple years ago, right?
Well, not the exact same thing. I mean, the circumstances were very different, but I had a very public situation with my career. And despite the fact that I have cleared my name, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. I will have to wear that kryptonite around my neck for the rest of my life. And there are people that will look at me differently regardless of what the outcome was of all of that. And these guys will have to deal with the same thing. And it will affect their career. They will not be able to be that goaltender that they should have been or that player that they should have been. That will never happen again. And there will always be that ball and chain on their ankle or that kryptonite necklace, however you want to spin that analogy or that metaphor, for the rest of their lives. And I feel for everyone. I feel for her. I feel for them. I feel I have all the feels, and it's a very unfortunate situation. I'll put it to you this way. When my wife and I get into an argument, I'm not mad at her. She's not mad at me. We're mad at the situation because we're both dealing with that situation. Does that make sense?
Can I provide a little bit of humor to the situation just to lighten the mood a bit?
Wow, you're going to be please.
It's funny you mention that. I love when people comment on our Instagram page. By the way, we're just about to hit 20,000 Instagram followers for those wondering. But I absolutely love when people comment on our Instagram page. "That's that Dave Wheeler, that misogynist prick." And I respond, "Have you heard what the other guy on the show says?" And they just lose it like, "I have two brain cells that rub together. I voted NDP." Oh, God, I love Canada.
Hey, like I always say, don't tell me how to enjoy things. I can't affect how someone else feels. All I can control is how I feel and how I interact, and that's how I move on with every day.
Can we finish the show with this Carter Hart story? I know we've had a great show. It's been lengthy. It's been fantastic. But I got a really good Carter Hart story. You ready for this one, Dave?
Bring it.
So, my same internal Edmonton Oilers sources that told me about Evander Kane's River Cree Casino gambling spot and perks told me insider information. The Edmonton Oilers did have conversations with Carter Hart a couple months ago about, listen, once all this clears, we're done with Skinner. We're going to bring you in. I know a lot of people don't want to take a gamble on you, but we will. You're a great goaltender. We know the charges are BS. They're going to be dropped. We'll bring you in. Fantastic conversation. Everything goes well. From what I was told, the higher-ups kibosh that immediately. We are not going to have that in the team. Now, who are the higher-ups? Are they with the Oilers? Are they with the league? My source would not tell me. But I thought that was interesting.
Well, I find it interesting because they signed Evander Kane, who's had some issues. They signed Corey Perry, who's had some issues. So why the line in the sand on that one?
Maybe because it's just so public and that he's going to be the face of your franchise in goal.
Dude, Evander Kane was public. Corey Perry was public. It's a different kind of public. It's a different kind of headline.
You can hide that with the offense, though. Like, you got the Stuart Skinner problem where everybody is talking about this guy and how terrible he's been, and now you're going to replace him with Carter Hart.
But he doesn't have an issue. He has no black spots on his resume aside from his play.
I know, but all the Skinner attention is going to go to the Carter Hart situation, and maybe they don't want it. I don't know. My source didn't tell me if this was the league kiboshing it, if it was the actual internal Oilers management. I would assume if they're having talks with the Oilers and the Carter Hart camp, that they're talking to people within the Oilers management.
If you enjoyed what you just saw, we do new clips every single day, twice a day on the Clips channel. You see clips right here. And beside Dave's crotch, we have a full-length show every single Sunday, right by my hand.
Click right here.